I got cut out. Anyways, but I wrote lyrics in these songs, and I used to be a rapper, and I hate saying that because people always like laugh. And I wasn't rapping about getting drunk and high and this all like cool stuff. I was rapping about my dad being fucked up and me like wanting to commit suicide and all this really dark shit. And there's lyrics like that I wrote that were, I'm like, I don't even remember writing that, and I don't know where it came from. And there was one line that said, I spilled all that I could spill out of me, all I can say in one day. I realize sometimes you love that person, but that person doesn't love you back the same. So I don't know where that came from. That was a flow, like from somewhere. And I mean, it was like hit so hard, right? And it was like sometimes you love the person doesn't love you back the same. So we go through these creative moments in our life, and we sometimes we're feeling good, and we feel good, and sometimes you feel really bad. If you go through depression, anxiety, you're like you just like sometimes you're just like so low, and then you're like you get this high where you're like I want to do this, and you feel good, and you're like I'm gonna do this, I'm motivated, and then you lose it, and then you're like I'm not good enough. That the other side comes in, that trauma comes in, that voice comes in. I'm not good enough. You're stupid. Whatever you're thinking is dumb. You're not gonna create a book. You're not gonna be a motivational speaker. Hey, look at you. And Paulo Coelho, I'm sure he had people, or his mind, the other part of his mind probably said, you're not good enough. But he had to squash that. He had to squash that part of his brain that said, his mind saying, you're not good enough. He had to say, no, I know this book is good. I know people will love it. So we get into these high frequencies from somewhere, and we create stuff. And it's like basketball teams and baseball, they go in slumps, and then a player will hit 2 home runs, 3 home runs in a row, and you're like, how does that happen? He sat down. He wasn't like right after. I mean, and even basketball, you could see if they were like when they're shooting like three pointers in a row and you get in a flow. It's kind of like you remember the movement. But when you go like a baseball player and they hit a home run and then they sit down, talk to their team, and then they hit it again, it's all due to the confidence that they're in, and they've been hitting. And when they're in a slump, that they've hit home runs so many times before. So why would it be any different? It's because it's just the confidence in them. They're like, and they could be doing it in batting practice, but then they get up on up at the plate and they just like lose it. And I think partly it's like something we're connected to something when we feel confident in ourselves, when we feel that we're able to do it, and we feel something. There's just a higher frequency. We're vibrating at a pace that's just different. And then if we lose it, like writer's block, and I've lost it so many times. That's why when I was writing this book, I was like, I feel it right now because I have a lot of friction in my life where I'm moving, and I was like, I'm giving myself. I have 4 days before I move. I'm like, I have it. I don't want to lose. I know I'm going to lose it once I move. It's just different places, environments. From the past, if you've been a writer or something, like certain things are going to probably take it away. So I'm like, I'm going to finish it as much as I can. And maybe I won't finish it, but maybe I will. But I've almost got to the point. I've got like 300,000 words. I got more than a book, but they say in writing, it's not writing is like 10% of it. It's 90% editing, and I believe that at this point because a lot of my stuff is just shit. So then and if you ever written music or written lyrics and stuff, that a lot of the stuff you write, you're like, how the hell did I write that? I didn't even make any sense. And then sometimes you're writing it and you're like, where did that come from? So I don't know what is the flow state. What is this vibration that we have? Where do we get it from? And I don't know. I think it comes from a higher power. Joe Dispenza talks about it. The breadcrumbs from the universe, like in these synchronicities that we have, and they're not just luck. They're not just these. Oh, it's coincidence. Well, coincidences are, I understand, but when they happen like 5 times in a row, I think that's something telling you like, hey, this is something that you need to be following. But then we get caught in life, and then with the physical world, and we don't listen to the spiritual world. We listen to the spiritual world hard because we have to interpret things. The physical world is telling you something. It's like trying to tell you what to do. It's trying to give you. It's not even giving you advice. It's just telling you what to do. And I think no one should. No one. If anyone says like this is what life is like, and they know, and they pretend, and there's so many people that act like they know. It's like you don't know anything. No one knows anything. You could have the smartest person in the world, and they could be wrong. So people can just. But the only thing is we have experiences, and people with a lot of experiences. I like to listen to those people, especially the ones that have experiences and they reflect on them and they don't act like they know. They just say, "This is my experience. This is what I went through, and this is what I felt, and this is what I interpret from it." And I don't have to agree with it because some people go through experiences and you're like, I don't like, I just don't get it, But there's some people that just go like, I went through this experience. This is what I've learned from it. And I think the people that have gone through the most experiences that are very reflective and they're very sensitive to it, so they sit there and reflect on it. Because everything I go through, I always reflect on it. Every bad choice, every horrible experience, I always reflect on it because I'm like, what did I learn from that? And I think that's what makes like a good story, makes a good book, is when you reflect on things in life. And you don't know it. You don't know. I don't know any more than you, but I'm just reflecting on things that I do know, that I went through, that I don't know, but it just feels real to me. So if it feels real to me, I think that if it will feel real to other people, and that's the thing with, I think, music and writing and just going through life and trying to connect with other people is like I've gone through things that I know other people have gone through. I just know, and they know people. There's millions of people dealing with addiction, so I know that I'm not the only one. And then families of other people have gone through it. So I believe that everyone has a story to tell because we've all gone through something, and your story could reach out to anyone. And we all have flow states, even when you're just doing a normal job. You're probably doing, if you did construction, I'm sure there's days where you're like, man, I built this freaking house in like 2 days. I was just in the flow. I know I do what I do every day, but for some reason it was just, everything felt like I was just flowing. I was just like in the right zone. And then some days you're just like, fuck, everything seems like shit. I can't even figure out, can't even hit a nail. I can't even figure out like how to build this door or whatever. I don't know. And I think that happens with life in anywhere. We're studying, trying to be something, a doctor. There's just a flow. So I believe it comes from a higher source. I think we connect to a higher source. There has to be. We're freaking on a planet like hurling through space. Planet is just a rock, and we have this freaking moon, which is another rock floating around us, and then we have this huge freaking star, which is the sun. A star, man. People don't understand. Do you know what stars are? This is what a lot of. It's pretty sad, but sorry if you don't know this, but the sun is a star, and the star is freaking just a huge thing of freaking gas, and it's just so hot, emitting, like we're feeling heat from this thing that's so freaking far away. Your brain can't even comprehend how far away it is. It takes 11 minutes of traveling at light speed to get to us. And we can travel around the globe, the whole earth, in 3 times in 1 second. So imagine the how fast light speed is. Light speed, there is no time. So it doesn't even make sense. If you're traveling at light speed, there's no time. Time doesn't exist at light speed. So if you were to travel at light speed, you would be. That's why, if in physics, if you were like to travel to another universe, and it's 100,000, that's why they say like light years away, because there's no other way to put it. Like how many years? Light years. So when you're traveling at light speed, if you travel the light speed of the sun, it'd take you 11 minutes to get to the sun. But you wouldn't age, and that's for another thing. But anyways, the flow is, I don't it what is it? I'd like to know what other people think it is. I think it's just something that it's from a higher source, something we don't understand. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you read this book, read this video, or you don't read this video, it doesn't even make sense. If you watch this video, if you don't, see, I don't really care. So I'll see you guys in the next one, or I won't see you at all.